Imagine, you're living in a world where the rich get richer, the poor struggle harder, and trust. Trust is dying. Sound familiar? Now here's the twist. This isn't 2025. This is 1100 CE. Most people think economic wisdom started with Adam Smith or Karl Marx. Maybe Aristotle if you paid attention in school. But here's the truth that will shake you. Nearly 1,000 years ago, a Muslim scholar saw exactly what we're living through today. He warned us, he predicted this. And we ignored him. He said something that should terrify you. When money loses its moral compass, societies rot from the inside out. Look around. Is he wrong? Welcome to Financial Historian video, where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Today, you're about to discover a truth that's been hidden for centuries. Close your eyes for a moment. Transport yourself back to 1100 CE. Europe, it's broken, poor. Still crawling from the ruins of the Dark Ages. But the Islamic world, it's alive. From Spain's Al-Andalus to the heart of Persia, cities are exploding with wealth. Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo. These aren't just cities, they're financial empires. Picture this. Markets bustling with life. Caravans carrying silk worth fortunes. Spices that could buy you a house. Silver flowing like rivers. Scholars debating philosophy, medicine, astronomy. The world is getting rich. But something's wrong. Can you feel it? Wealth is growing faster than wisdom. People are accumulating more, but meaning less. The economy is thriving on the outside, but rotting on the inside. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's happening right now. Into this world steps a man, a scholar, a philosopher, a rebel, against the status quo. Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali, born in 1058 in Persia, this man rises like a comet by his mid-30s. He's at the top, one of the most prestigious teachers in the Islamic world. But here's what makes him different. He refuses to accept what everyone else accepts. He looks at the wealth, the markets, the power, and asks the question that terrifies the comfortable. What happens when a civilization gets rich faster than it gets wise? You don't have to try hard to see yourself in that question, do you? Here's what shocks most people. Al-Ghazali wasn't just a religious scholar. He was an economic genius, one of the first to understand money not as a thing, but as a force that shapes souls and societies. While others saw money as gold and silver, Al-Ghazali saw deeper. He saw money as a mirror. Listen to this carefully. A mirror has no value on its own. Its worth comes from what it reflects. Money is exactly the same. It's not the gold that matters. It's what the gold allows you to build, to trade, to create. This was the 11th century, and he understood what modern economists claim they invented. But here's where it gets real. Here's where his words cut through time like a knife. Hoarded money is dead money. Feel that. Wealth locked in vaults, hidden in accounts, buried underground. It's not just useless, it's destructive. When money stops moving, society stops breathing. Workers don't get paid. Families don't get fed. Dreams die in storage rooms. He called it freezing the bloodstream of society. And you know what's haunting? We're living in that freeze right now. Billionaires hoarding wealth while people work 3 jobs to survive. Al-Ghazali saw it 1,000 years ago. He saw us. But it gets worse. So much worse. Al-Ghazali watched merchants manipulate prices, create fake shortages, exploit crises for profit. And he didn't just shake his head. He called it what it was. Moral corruption. Listen to his words. Whoever profits from the suffering of others, profits from corruption. Let that sink in. Think about the 2008 housing crisis. Think about pharmaceutical companies hiking insulin prices. Think about landlords exploiting housing shortages. This scholar from 900 years ago called it out. And here's the terrifying part. He said corruption doesn't just sit there, it spreads. Like a disease. Through markets, through institutions, through entire civilizations. Once it takes hold, the society is already dying. But wait, before you think he was anti-business, anti-profit, anti-wealth, he wasn't. Al-Ghazali loved trade. He believed in markets. He believed wealth could be meaningful and even noble. His target wasn't success, it was dishonesty, cheating, lying, false weights. hidden defects, manipulated information, because he understood something profound. Markets only work when people trust each other. And once that trust collapses, the economy collapses right behind it. He was describing what economists now call transaction costs, information asymmetry, moral hazard, except he did it without the jargon, and with way more humanity. Here's another truth that'll hit you. Al-Ghazali said, work is inherently dignified, but unearned wealth, spiritually dangerous. Money earned through effort builds character. Money gained through manipulation rots it. You might think that's just moral preaching. But listen to the logic. Societies grow strong when people contribute. They grow weak when people exploit. It's that simple, and that devastating. Because look around, how many people are contributing versus how many are just extracting? How many are building versus how many are gaming the system? Al-Ghazali would recognize our world in a heartbeat. Now here's where Al-Ghazali gets dangerous. He didn't just criticize merchants and hoarders. He went after the rulers. Medieval kings did what modern governments still do. They diluted their coins, mixed gold with cheaper metals, stretched their budgets by secretly taxing their people through inflation. And Al-Ghazali, he called it what it was. Theft. Not policy. Not necessary measures. Theft. Because that's what it does. It steals purchasing power from the poor. It punishes those who can't protect themselves. It destabilizes everything from the top down. He warned, unjust rulers destroy prosperity faster than any outside enemy. Feel that in your bones, because it's happening right now. In every central bank decision, in every currency manipulation, in every quantitative easing that enriches the already rich, while the middle class drowns. Al-Ghazali watched rulers tighten their grip on economies when they felt power slipping. Some raised taxes to crushing levels. Others seized merchant assets. Some borrowed recklessly and dumped the debt on future generations. Sound familiar? And here's his most chilling observation. When a ruler cheats his people, the merchants feel justified cheating their customers. When institutions fail to act with integrity, individuals stop acting with responsibility. It's a chain reaction of distrust. From the palace to the marketplace, from the top of society to the bottom. His conclusion was stark but simple. A society can survive poverty, but it cannot survive corruption. Read that again. Economic collapse isn't about running out of money. It's about running out of trust, the invisible glue holding every transaction, every contract, every currency, every institution together. When that trust erodes, even the wealthiest nation becomes fragile. This brings us to currency. For Al-Ghazali, currency stability wasn't about gold reserves or silver content. It was about honesty. When rulers tampered with coins diluting the gold, mixing in cheaper metals, it wasn't clever. It was deception. It was betrayal. And he predicted exactly what would happen. People would lose trust. They'd abandon the local currency. They'd flee to stronger foreign money. 1,000 years later, Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, people fleeing their own money because they don't believe the promises behind it anymore. Money isn't metal. Money isn't paper. Money is a belief system. And once people stop believing, the system stops functioning. But Al-Ghazali understood something even deeper about us, about human nature. People hoard out of fear. They speculate out of greed. They cheat when they think they can get away with it. They rationalize unethical profits because everyone else is doing it. And when exploitation becomes normal, when corruption is just how things work, collapse is already underway. This led to his most powerful insight. You cannot fix an economy without fixing the incentives that shape human behavior. Laws matter, markets matter, but behind them are people making choices driven by emotion, ambition, fear, desire. Unless a society's systems align those incentives toward productive, honest behavior, the economy will drift toward corruption, instability, and self-destruction. This is why Al-Ghazali placed so much emphasis on the moral dimension of wealth. To him, wealth without responsibility wasn't just spiritually dangerous, it was a threat to everyone. He believed wealth wasn't inherently bad. It was simply incomplete without purpose. Think about it. A society grows strong when individuals contribute more than they extract. When the drive to accumulate is balanced by the duty to uplift. But when wealth becomes detached from social responsibility, when profit ignores the welfare of the community, the system becomes brittle. And here's the kicker. A selfish society eventually collapses under its own weight. And when it collapses, everyone pays, including the wealthy who thought they were immune. Civilizations rise when people understand balance. They fall when that balance snaps. And that brings us to right now. To you, to me, to this moment we're living in. Al-Ghazali's insights don't feel like medieval philosophy anymore. They feel like a diagnostic report of our current age. We live in a world where money moves faster than meaning. Wealth inequality rivals medieval kingdoms. Markets reward speculation over contribution. Trust in institutions dies a little more every year. Inflation quietly steals purchasing power. And financial bubbles grow again with predictable regularity. Everywhere you look, echoes of what Al-Ghazali warned about. His critique of hoarding, that's today's debate about billionaires and offshore accounts. His warnings about speculation, housing crises, crypto volatility, predatory markets. His condemnation of manipulated currency. Today's monetary policy debates. His belief that trust is the foundation of prosperity. That explains everything. Why do nations with honest courts, predictable regulations, transparent governance enjoy stronger currencies? Because people trust them. Here's what strikes you when you really sit with this. How little the world has changed. The technology is different, the markets are faster, the scale is global instead of regional, but the underlying human behaviors, exactly the same. Al-Ghazali would look at our runaway debt, our speculative frenzies, our widening inequality, our political gridlock, our institutional distrust, and he'd say exactly what he wrote 1,000 years ago. Where justice is lost, prosperity cannot remain. That's an uncomfortable truth, isn't it? Because it means we are not special. We are not different. We're making the same mistakes civilizations made for millennia. Economies don't collapse because the numbers stop adding up. They collapse because people stop trusting each other. They collapse because the incentives reward the wrong behaviors. They collapse because institutions fail to uphold the fairness that makes markets possible. Human emotion, human fear, human greed, human shortcuts. These not abstract formulas are what push civilizations toward crisis. Al-Ghazali wasn't preaching religion when he wrote this. He was describing reality. He understood something economists often struggle to admit. Money is not a mechanical object. It's a moral ecosystem. And when the moral framework disintegrates, the financial system follows right behind it. That's why his ideas matter today. Right now in this moment, in an era defined by record debt, speculative excess, institutional mistrust, and financial anxiety, his central message becomes a survival principle. If money becomes detached from morality, the system will break. Understanding that isn't just financial education, it's financial protection. Because history doesn't repeat, but if you don't understand it, it'll crush you all the same. If this gave you a new perspective, if this made you see money, society, and your own choices differently, hit that subscribe button. Because history has the answers. And I'll show you exactly where to look. The question is, are you brave enough to listen?